Hey guys, so I'm working on one of my paintings. I decided to revamp a very old painting of mine that just laid dormant for years. So I think this is back in 2011 or 2012, where I just painted random designs, and I'm not entirely sure what inspired me to paint these specific shapes, but I did. So I liked the shapes, but I never really finished it. I knew that I wanted to add more to it, and so I randomly decided, hey, why not go ahead and add on to it? It's been years. It's been over 10 years already. So here I am, finally doing that. And of course, I have not forgotten about my other paintings. I'm going to be finishing those as well. You know me, your average disorganized, tortured artist. Well, I'm not tortured, but it just sounds more intriguing when you add that in there. Once was a tortured artist. I love trees, so I decided to add trees. I'm going to make a cluster of them in the fall colors and regular greens. And right now I am going to work on the green one. So what I did was I used a acrylic paint marker. These are so nice because you have more control over it. It's like using a marker, which is sometimes it's just a lot more efficient than using a paintbrush. But like it doesn't take nearly as much time. But that was just going to be the base of it, and now I'm going to use paint to paint over it. I don't know if I want to use this green though, because it's an emerald green, but it's a bit too light, and I'm wanting darker green. So let me see. Hopefully I have a green in this box here that will satisfy me, but if not, then I'm going to have to go into my other paint collections that are elsewhere in the house. Some of these paints I've had for years, so long that they've hardened, so they're like clay, but you can always add water to it and soften it back up. So I think there's another way you can actually soften it besides water, but I will have to look that up first. There's emerald. I want to see if I can find one that isn't solid. Or I could always add like a I could always add some black to that green to darken it. Yeah, I have so much paint. I could never have enough paint though. This is olive green. This one isn't that bad. Oh, this is really... What happened to this? Why is it so liquidy? What is going on with this one? Oh my gosh. This one's almost too liquidy. Yeah, that's Shamrock. Okay, I'm going to start with the olive one. That will do for now. There's been so much going on in our world in the last couple of days. It's really sad, actually. I think there's more and more people that are losing their minds. Becoming disconnected from their hearts. Becoming disconnected from love, understanding, openness. Oh no, I was not wanting that to happen. Oh, I don't like it when that happens. Those little strings that are around the neck of the paint bottle. Because normally I don't open the paint bottle, but for this one, I'm gonna do that because I don't really have anywhere to put the paint on, so I'm just gonna get it directly from the bottle itself. But as I was saying, I am quite sad about the violence and anger, hatred, and darkness that seems to be spreading more and more in our world. I mean, you can never fully get rid of it, right? That's always going to be around. I mean, that's what life is. It has to have both. Has to have the polarities there, because without opposition, we would not be able to grow and build a more enduring, stronger, and evolved soul. But extremes and levels of violence seem to be rising more and more all over, no matter where you are. It's not just in, I don't know. It's always been there, but I feel like it's just spreading out in every area, every corner of the world now. It's all fueled by hate, fueled by fear. Hate and fear. Lack of understanding. I just want people to be safe. I want people to connect and open their heart. That's really all I want. And it seems like that's it's a difficult thing to do for more and more. But it's just really sad. Painting always helps me to kind of balance that energy of anxiety or fear or sadness. So helps me to focus on something so that the mind doesn't get caught into madness and suffering and negative thought loops. I would encourage everybody to paint or draw something or write or do something creative whenever they feel like they're getting stuck in a negative thought loop or feeling anxiety or fear. I'm not so sure how I like this green. I've already painted like a good portion of it, so I'm kind of too late, but oh well. I can just paint over it again and layer on different shades of green and give it some more texture, more contrast. I posted one of my playlists that I've been working on adding more songs to, and I labeled it Pisces because those songs remind me of Pisces energy. Like when you listen to the songs, it gives you that Pisces feeling, that Pisces vibe. 12th house, spiritual realm, faraway realm, mysterious realm. Where angels and demons exist. Your guardian angels and your demons exist there. And it's right across from the 6th house of Virgo. Virgo representing on earth, down to earth, routine, conscious awareness, acts of service, conscious acts of service, and health. Both good and bad, of course, because we all know the dark side of Virgo can be that perfectionist, that micromanager, that controlling type of vibe. But Pisces being directly across from it is the spiritual aspect of that house. Both houses are service houses, but in different ways. We have the partial solar eclipse that's coming up on the 21st of this month in Virgo. So that's another big event. But it's only a partial eclipse, so I think what really makes it intense is the fact that it'll be at 29 degrees of Virgo. 29 degrees is an anaretic degree, and in degree theory, that is where the energy is most powerful and extreme, has the most influence, the most potent. Enough power to determine someone's direction, someone's fate. You can also have anaretic degrees in your natal chart as well. Some of us do have that within our charts naturally. I have my Uranus at 29 degrees of Sagittarius. So, in my 5th house. 5th house represents creativity, your hobbies, your imagination. Because, I mean, without an imagination, how do you create? That, and it represents children, represents dating, having fun, represents risks and gambling, partying. And maybe that explains why I get these random bursts out of nowhere of creativity. And I can never really pinpoint when it'll happen. It just happens. Or sometimes I'll be in a creative phase like non-stop for months, and then I'll just stop out of nowhere for a long time. But that's what I've noticed, its effect in my life. For me. But everyone has it, and if you have it, you know, it could be in different areas. But it can also be very difficult because it's so potent and so strong. You know, it could have negative effects. And it'd be harder to work against those negative effects. So that's where it makes up for having, you know, it's like when you have something really good and extreme and potent, there's always that downside of it, right? That goes with everything, really. That goes with everything. It's interesting learning about the stars, learning about the transits and the phases of the moon. It's fascinating because when you really get into it and learn about it, you realize how much it connects and that there's something to it. It's not just some woo-woo made-up thing. I mean, there's a reason why all the kings and queens had their own personal astrologers back in the day, and I can guarantee you that we have a lot of the world leaders even now that have their own personal astrologers still. And I'm sure that many of them keep it a secret. JP Morgan had a personal astrologer. I know that's like this famous saying that, or quote that he said about it. Said something about the difference between millionaires and billionaires. Billionaires have an astrologer or something of that nature. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember exactly what it said or what he said. And they say the ones who have the most power around the world are really into numerology and the occult. Makes sense. There's writings and books about it. Picking the perfect time to like launch a brand new product and or like songs or an event even that could cause a major ripple effect that influences the fate of the trends, the world, the directions. And if you have all the resources to do so, why not? Why not? It's not right, but when you have all that power, it seems to get to you a little bit and changes your brain chemistry. It's like you never really know for sure how you'd turn out if you had all the money and power in the world until you got there. However, there is a high likelihood that the ones who have a good heart, when they say it, they mean it. And they would stay true to being of service and not changing in like dark ways. But a lot that, get all that power and control and money, most of them do change darker and more disconnected from humanity. Because then they become addicted to the power, the feeling of power. And they don't want to lose their position. So that they would do anything at all costs to not lose their position of power. Because then they get to this state of mind where, well, I'm here, I've gotten here, now I can never go back. I could never enjoy living a regular life. Right? So it's like having the sweetest tasting strawberry You could never go back to regular strawberries at the grocery store, and it would never be the same, you know? That's just an example, but something like that. It's not the end of the world, though. They would just have to learn how to evolve in a different way. Their soul would just have a new challenge on how to unlearn what they have learned and to relearn happiness and what happiness means to them, which is always easier said than done. And that goes for everything. Everything's always easier said than done. Because even the ones that are able to achieve the things that they set their minds to, if you ask them, was it easier said than done? Even though they achieved it, they would say to you, oh yes, it's easier said than done. It was no walk in the park. It was a struggle. Even the people that make it look so easy, make it look so effortless to overcome certain things or certain temptations, they might not share the struggles that they've had to endure, the pains and the suffering that they felt having to relearn things and teach themselves new things to be disciplined. It was still just as hard for them. So, you know, we're all at different levels of consciousness, awareness, different levels in our journeys of learning. Every soul on this planet, no one is immune to that, right? No one. Not even the ones at the very top. But everyone has their own decision. They have their own choice of how they want to go about doing something and what path they would take. So, because we were gifted that free agency, we were gifted that free will. Our souls were, at least. Might not always seem like it in the physical reality in certain situations, but we still do have that free agency, that free will, to choose how we perceive something, to choose how we react to something, to choose how we create, what energy we create into this world, what frequency we add to the collective vibe. Just because we can't see it with our naked eye doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Frequencies exist. You know, just like emotions do. You can't really see it unless someone is very expressive on their face, then yes, or through the volume and tone of voice. But you can't see sound waves, but they're there. You can't see the UV rays, but they're there. Everything. But when you realize that and really think about that, it kind of blows your mind. It kind of blows your mind when you realize that. And then it doesn't sound so kooky anymore. Everyone's affected at different levels, and we can go into that, but those are really, really complex things. Like, there's so many complexities and circumstantial things that go into play, and you can pull that apart so much that it would just make your brain go in circles. So definitely don't want to do that right now. Okay, so I painted the tree green. I'm going to let it dry, and then I will add a different shade of green over it. And then I have my orange tree here. Maybe I can add this orange to it. I'm already getting my paint fingers. It always happens. It's a part of the process. Today's also the anniversary of 9/11. That whole thing is quite interesting. Very sad. Very, very sad. But it is... there's something sinister about that entire event. And if you know what I'm talking about. Remember how I was talking about astrology, timing, knowing the perfect transits to cause an event to happen, to determine the ripple effect, the fate of the direction of humanity or of a business agreement even, whatever it is. But it affects society on a grand scale. That's definitely considered one of those events. And many others, but since it's the anniversary of that event, perfect time to bring it up. Maybe I should look into what the transits were on that day. That'd be kind of... that would be... that would be intriguing to look into. Or I'm intrigued to look into it. It'd be fascinating to look into. That's what I meant to say. I haven't really slept very well the past couple nights. Again, just knowing I had a lot of dreams, but not really remembering a whole lot when I wake up. I didn't feel as tired this morning, but I still felt a bit lazy, like it was harder to get up. But Tuesday was definitely a difficult day. Even Monday, I think throughout the whole week, really, it seemed heavier. And then a catastrophic event happened yesterday. Political assassination, which was really sad. Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, only 31 years old. 2 young children and a wife. And all he was doing was just debating. Debating diplomatically with others throughout his whole career. He just was very well articulated, and he was open to hearing others' opinions. He didn't make anyone feel less than. He didn't throw out low blows to people if they disagreed with him. If you watch one of his debates, you would see that, where he talks in a way where he's not mocking anybody. He's just asking questions, and he wants to understand. He just wants to understand the other viewpoint. But he would make his point. If someone, like, you know, got him to really question something, he would look further into it. And, you know, never sent like these, wasn't, you know, degrading. He was just wanting to open the lines of communication on both sides. Of course, he was always propped up as a specific label, which turns anyone off automatically if they're on an opposing or opposite view, right? Which is understandable. It is. But that's another thing I've been noticing, even with my own self. It's like trying to catch myself when my brain automatically goes into like this what is it? This triggered response, which is not conscious, but unconsciously reactive without being open. So it's like almost like being controlled, or just this robotic way of you know, when you hear certain things on the news or on any kind of social platform that you associate with things that are triggering or things that you don't agree with, right? I mean, if there are subjects that you don't agree with and you're very much against it, you know, you're usually going to associate any person or individual who comes under that label as like an enemy, or someone to look down upon or be angry over, or feel anger over, or feel sour about. And we're all human beings. We are all we are all like this to some degree with things, even with other things. It's the unconscious mind, you know, triggering that natural response. Or if you get fed something over and over again for long enough, you start to believe it. Then everything that's associated with it, you get that same feeling that is tied to that. And that's psychology right there. Manipulation, mind manipulation. And it takes a while to get yourself out of that programming. And a lot of continuous conscious effort to point it out when it happens to you. It's like taking a step back and asking yourself, how do I really feel about this situation? Is this really coming from me? Does this make sense? Or is this something I've grown used to automatically responding to in this way? The pattern. Just really looking at it from the outside. There's a lot of people dying all over the world. Wars, poverty, mentally ill individuals who do need help, yes. They need help. But everyone needs help. Everyone could use some help. Everyone could use some understanding. Everyone could use some nurturing. The problem is, or issue is, that there's no such thing as finding that perfect solution. And it's coming to an acceptance of an imperfect world. And recognizing that, yes, accepting we live in an imperfect world. But if you can learn how to live in an imperfect world, fully accepting that as is, and still try to work your hardest at bettering yourself and helping others, being of service with a pure heart without getting crushed by it, then I think that is one of the most highest purpose. I think that is a very high purpose to aim for. And it's very basic and simple for every human being. But, first you'd have to work on bettering yourself, evolving, and getting into that Christ-like state of mind, or Buddha-like state of mind, and being conscious and stuff, and then being able to help others, being of service in some way, in the best way that you can for, the situations that you're in. Everyone's life is different, unique, and everything is, you can't have the same expectations on one person and expect it to work out just the same on another. Like, not really expectations, I guess. That's like the wrong word to really use for it, but you know what I mean. So, but striving for that goal, being of service, but after you have loved yourself and you make sure to be in your own authority, then you can help others. But then even after that, it's like during that process, learning how to help others without getting crushed, without being used or taken advantage of, right? So there's that as well. But of course, if you really truly learn how to love yourself and work on yourself, then that would be a part of it, and you would already know how to do that, right? So that would already be there. And practicing humility, practicing gratitude, practicing opening your heart and feeling, wanting to spread genuine joy and happiness to others. I think that's a great goal to have. That's why Pisces and Virgo are so important together as a team, because if one doesn't have the other, it's unbalanced. Pisces brings that spirituality in, brings that loving, unconditional love, pureness, sacrifice, and deep soul level connection. But Virgo also brings that, not as deep as Pisces in spirituality, but more so grounded on the earth through actions, through efforts, through labor, through, those types of things. Through setting examples, maintaining the balance and the practicality, because Pisces energy alone, just on its own, does not have any practicality there. It's like non-existent. So, I mean, we're talking about the 12th house here, so that's like the house of the unseen. It is the spirit realm, so yeah. So Pisces definitely needs Virgo, and Virgo needs Pisces. They both need each other greatly. So to aim for the middle, not just more one over the other. All right, so I filled in the orange tree a little bit. It's not as potent of a color, but like I said, I'll just add more layers and then it'll probably get better and better. But that's what I have so far. I think I'm going to let them dry and continue working on it over the next week or so. Good talk, though. Love you guys. Peace out.